Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CampusCare EdTalks. EdTalks, a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. Our topic for the discussion is student suspension or expulsion, and does it help? And to express his viewpoints on the same, we have with us Mr. Gadam John Hemant Kumar, sir, psychologist and director of the Neurons Hyderabad. A very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you.
How are you doing, sir? It's so good to have you here.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you. Nice, nice to be on your platform.
Thank you so much, sir. We are
Looking
honored.
forward for some good interaction.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, looking forward for a good interaction with you guys.
Thank you so much, sir. So let's start off with the session, sir, shall we?
Yeah,
So, sir, when we talk about student expansion or expulsion, that happens because, the students are not maintaining discipline or decorum at school. So, what are the effective ways to maintain decorum at school?
yeah. Let's take the very topic expulsion or detention. It, in other words, you're saying it is a punishment. Nobody likes to be punished, and anything that children do is not really something very criminal, unless there is a murder or a rape or something of that kind. If there are academic disciplines which are not being followed, or children have not been trained to be disciplined, or children get excited or emotionally upset over some things, and they may do something which will call for that so-called punishment. I guess expulsion or even detention, for that matter, is a solution for the problem. And today's generation of children, all the more you try to threaten them with these detentions and expulsions, they don't give a damn.
Yeah.
So it's something like, as if the education system is being done for the teachers and the parents. Children don't realize, because the children know, they feel that, they can do something and survive on their own. Education not so important. But there are some serious children who do take it up in a more disciplined way, because they are concerned about their own futures and their own lifestyles. So many of these children who are taking life easy and not concerned or not responsible towards themselves or to the institution or to their classmates, they end up doing these so-called wrong things, which invites expulsion or detention. Yeah, when it is beyond the capability of the institution or the teachers or the adults around to handle the child can be counseled, given more opportunities to realize his follies and set himself right, and give more opportunities rather than straight away giving him detentions or expulsions. But if it goes to a very extreme end, there may be with necessary warnings and you know so many instructions given. Child can be asked to move out and move on to somewhere else rather than it's something like exterminating him. Don't do that. They're after all human beings, young ones, learning a lot of things in life. So we can revolve around this topic as we proceed.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
moving forward, sir, do you agree with the suspension or expulsion policy, and do you think that students should counseling, as you just mentioned, or get warnings before getting this punishment?
Yes, it should be done, because expulsion is definitely not the solution, or even detention is not the solution. They need to sit and talk, because see, when there is an expert who understands why the child is doing these things,
Yeah.
it will help the child to understand the consequences of his actions. There are many times there is a conflict between the adult, that is, I call adult as the parent or the teacher, and they have issues with the child because there is no proper understanding between each. Children, if given respect and properly told, they have the potential to respond properly. But an authoritarian approach will put off the children, also even give them more leverage to create more problems. So counseling does help. We do a lot of counseling. It helps. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. I think we all can agree to this that counseling should be done before, expelling a student or suspending a student. So, moving forward, do you think suspending or, expulsion of students, is it a correct way to handle student breaching the code of conduct? How do you see it, sir?
No, I disagree because as a professional psychologist, I keep getting number of cases. There are times when these young fellows stay back with me for a day or two, and when I study them, when I make an assessment, I realize that there is no proper communication happening with these children. They are not
Yeah.
told properly or appropriately to understand what are the do's and don'ts of their participation in a school or even home for that matter. It is their upbringing problem, the parenting issues, the teachers issues. So I would say it is the inability of the adult
Yeah.
to understand the child and give the necessary support system which creates these problems. If this is addressed properly, it can be minimized. The problem can be minimized
Yeah.
and solution becomes easy to apply. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So, moving forward, sir, do you think
Yes.
other than, suspending or expulsion of students, do you think detention is the right step to deal with the students breaking the school, breaking the rules in the school?
Now we need to understand that detention is applicable only if there is an academic lack of progress. Because even if you progress into the next classes or higher classes and he can't cope up with the curriculum or can't cope up with the subject, it becomes very difficult for him to move ahead. That can invite detention. But any act of misbehavior or any kind of a breaking rules or those kind of things, it cannot call for detention. By detention, you are actually wasting the lifetime of a child.
Yeah.
It is going to mar his thing. It's not about social influence or social bad remarks. It's all about the time 1 year goes waste, and he's not been in a position to keep up with the rest of the other peer group and also with the other opportunities that come up in life. So
Absolutely.
I wouldn't recommend detention for even those kind of children. Yes, academic pursuits are not in place and they are being subjected to some kind of a moving back. Then yes, I would recommend that detention can be a option. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. I think we all can agree that detention is never the right step. So, in what cases, do you think a student should be at least suspended, or how do you, explain that? How do you, what do you think that how the students should be punished for, if they if they, you know, misbehave or do not maintain decorum?
See, yeah. See, there is this option called criminal activities.
Yeah.
If there is a criminality involved in the actions of the child, it brings some kind of legal approach to the whole thing. Juvenile Act will come into the place. That can be taken up with the law and severe detention or expulsion can be worked at. Now we are talking about, I assume that we are talking about children within the school, within the premises, where his behavior could be a little more annoying or it could be a little beyond the normal circumstances and becomes a pain in the neck for the school and for the parents and for the adult community, even the peer group. For them, outright detention or expulsion is not the answer. It requires professional help. It requires that one needs to understand as to why his behavior is like this. Maybe things are not good at home, or maybe he has issues with his friends and his peer group or some relationship issues, or there might be physical health issues also, which is causing him this kind of a misbehavior. So, if these things, the root causes, if they are identified and support system is provided for the child, I am sure even the worst of the child can become the best of the child over a period of time. Unfortunately, in many institutions, we do not have this setup where a professional can reach out to such children. This has to be worked at. Though the government says each school must have a counselor, a psychological counselor, it's impossible to have one counselor in every school. But if you can tie up, if each school can tie up with a professional who can reach out to the children,
Yeah.
it works. And there are activities and there are certain techniques which can be imbibed as part of the school curriculum. Like in the assembly, certain things can be done, like meditation can be taught, some general counseling can be made,
Yeah.
some issues can be discussed with the students, and small groups can be made to, to discuss these kind of issues. It helps. And trust me, it is easy for children to understand, provided you explain to them the way they can understand. Unfortunately, what happens, most parents and teachers, they always think they are the boss around, and the child must listen to them, and
Yeah.
that is where the friction comes in. So we need to avoid this kind of friction as much as possible. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. There should be a professional, handling all these things, and there should be somebody that students can talk to. So, moving forward, we have a question in the live chat, sir, and that
Yes.
how should schools engage teenagers, especially teenagers, so that the question of suspension or expulsion doesn't arise?
Yeah. So is it about a child having certain issues, or it is in general terms for
It
all
is
the
in general
teenagers who
terms, yeah.
are there? Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of teenage activities.
Yeah.
Like for example, it is not like little children have this activity based materials with which their motor coordination and those kind of things happen. But for teenagers, it's more like a peer group work. It works. Like they can sit together and have discussions. They could go out on small trips. Like a small group of 4 or 5 teenagers can go out on a
Yeah.
city tour on their own. They buy their tickets, they move around, they look around, have fun and come back. These kind of things, socialization will help them rather than getting them to stuck up with the WhatsApp or chatting or on the social media. These kind of physical programs will definitely help them to move around and pick up a lot of you know things that will help them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
That was, a really wonderful session with you. I hope you too did enjoy the session.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you so much, sir,
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much
much.
again. And for all the
Thank you.
viewers watching us out, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. Take care.
You too, sir.